Beloved of the Lord, in the mighty and matchless name of Jesus, I declare that this Monday is not an ordinary day. It is a day of divine acceleration, supernatural favor, and unstoppable breakthrough. Every obstacle standing before you shall bow, every closed door shall open, and every battle assigned against your destiny shall be overturned by the power of God. Have you entered this new week believing God for a miracle? Tell me in the comments. What are you trusting God to do in your life today? This is your moment to align your faith with heaven's agenda. As you pray this Monday morning, expect chains to break, expect answers to arrive, and expect God to move in ways that will leave you amazed. The same God who made a way through impossible situations is already working behind the scenes on your behalf. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? And what victory are you believing God for this week? I believe that before this day comes to an end, something significant is going to shift in your favor. What looked delayed will begin to move. What seemed impossible will become possible. What felt lost will be restored by the hand of God. If you believe God is about to change everything, type Amen in the comments and share this prayer with someone who needs a miracle today. Get ready, because this Monday is carrying divine opportunities, supernatural connections, and heaven's answers. As we enter into this time of prayer, position your heart with expectation, strengthen your faith, and prepare yourself for a powerful encounter with the God who changes everything. Beloved, as you step into this Monday morning, I want you to understand that you are not entering this day by accident. You are stepping into a new opportunity ordained by God, a fresh chapter filled with possibilities that heaven has already prepared for you. This is not the day to carry yesterday's disappointments into today's opportunities. This is the day to lift your eyes, strengthen your faith, and expect God to do something extraordinary in your life. Can you believe that God is already working on your behalf before you even see the evidence? Too many people begin their Monday expecting problems, delays, setbacks, and frustration. They wake up already anticipating disappointment because of what happened last week. But faith operates differently. Faith does not focus on what went wrong yesterday. Faith focuses on what God is able to do today. Faith understands that one moment of divine favor can change what years of struggle could not change. Have you entered this morning expecting God to surprise you with His goodness? The Word of God reminds us that His mercies are new every morning. That means every sunrise carries fresh grace. Every new day carries fresh opportunities. Every morning is an invitation from God to trust Him again, believe Him again, and walk with confidence into the future He has prepared for you. What are you trusting God to do in your life this week? I want you to recognize that expectation is a powerful force. When you expect nothing, you position yourself to receive very little. But when you expect God to move, your heart becomes open to recognize His hand at work in every situation. Expectation creates room for miracles. Expectation prepares the atmosphere for breakthrough. Expectation shifts your focus from limitations to possibilities. Have you ever noticed how differently you approach life when you truly believe something good is about to happen? Some people are waiting for their circumstances to improve before they choose faith. But faith does not wait for visible evidence. Faith comes first. Faith speaks before results appear. Faith believes before doors open. Faith trusts before answers arrive. This Monday morning is your opportunity to make a decision that you will believe God regardless of what your current circumstances may look like. Are you willing to trust God even before you see the outcome? There may be situations in your life that seem impossible right now. Perhaps there are financial challenges, family concerns, unanswered prayers, or personal battles that have tested your confidence. But the God you serve specializes in impossible situations. He has never been limited by what limits people. He has never been intimidated by what intimidates you. He remains sovereign, powerful, and fully capable of transforming any circumstance. What challenge are you believing God to help you overcome today? The beginning of a new week is not just a change on the calendar. It is an opportunity to realign your thoughts with God's promises. Many battles are won or lost in the mind before they ever appear in reality. When you begin your Monday with faith, you are establishing the foundation for everything that follows. You are choosing confidence over fear, hope over discouragement, and expectation over doubt. Can you make the decision right now to reject every negative thought that has tried to follow you into this week? God never intended for his people to live under the constant weight of anxiety and uncertainty. He created you to walk in confidence because your future is in his hands. When you understand that God is directing your steps, you no longer have to be controlled by fear. You can move forward knowing that he is ordering your path and working all things together for your good. How would your day look different if you truly believed God was guiding every step you take? There are blessings connected to faith that cannot be accessed through worry. Worry drains your energy. Fear clouds your vision. Doubt weakens your confidence. But faith strengthens your spirit. Faith sharpens your focus. Faith reminds you that no matter what happens around you, God remains in control. Have you been carrying worries that God is asking you to release this morning? I believe this Monday carries opportunities that you cannot yet see. There are conversations being arranged. There are doors being positioned. There are answers already moving toward you. There are breakthroughs developing behind the scenes. Just because you cannot see what God is doing does not mean he is not working. Can you trust that God is active in areas of your life that seem silent right now? Many people miss their blessings because they become discouraged too quickly. They stop believing right before the breakthrough arrives. They surrender hope right before the answer appears. But this is not the time to quit. This is not the time to retreat. This is the time to stand firmly in faith and expect God's promises to manifest in your life. Have you ever received an answer from God after you thought nothing was happening? The enemy wants you to believe that your situation will never change. He wants you to focus on every obstacle, every delay, and every difficulty. But God wants you to focus on his power, his faithfulness, and his promises. The size of your challenge does not determine your future. The greatness of your God determines your future. Which promise of God are you holding on to in this season of your life? As you move through this Monday, remember that your words matter. What you speak influences what you believe. What you believe influences how you act. Instead of speaking defeat, speak victory. Instead of speaking fear, speak faith. Instead of speaking limitations, speak possibilities. Let your words agree with God's promises rather than your circumstances. What words have you been speaking over your life lately? Faith is not pretending problems do not exist. Faith is choosing to believe that God is greater than every problem. Faith acknowledges challenges while refusing to surrender to them. Faith looks beyond the obstacle and sees the God who is able to move mountains. Can you think of a time when God brought you through something you never thought you would survive? That same God who helped you before is with you today. The same God who opened doors in previous seasons is still opening doors. The same God who provided when resources were limited is still your provider. The same God who protected you through difficult moments is still watching over you. His character has not changed. His power has not diminished. His promises remain true. What testimony from your past reminds you that God is faithful? This Monday morning is an invitation to elevate your expectations. Refuse to settle for a mindset of defeat. Refuse to allow fear to dictate your decisions. Refuse to be controlled by yesterday's failures. Lift your vision higher. Expand your faith. Expect God to exceed your expectations and accomplish things beyond what you could ask or imagine. What would happen if you approached this entire week believing that God has something greater prepared for you? Every new week carries fresh possibilities. Every new day carries new opportunities for growth, favor, healing, restoration, and breakthrough. God is not limited by what happened yesterday. He is not restricted by your past mistakes. He is not discouraged by your current challenges. His plans for you remain intact, and His purpose for your life continues to move forward. Can you choose today to enter this week with expectation, confidence, and unwavering faith in God's ability to change every situation? Beloved, there are moments when you must make a spiritual decision that enough is enough. You cannot continue carrying cycles of defeat into seasons that God designed for victory. As you begin this Monday morning, I want you to recognize that God has given you authority through faith to stand against every limitation that has tried to hold you back. This is not the week to surrender to old patterns, negative expectations, or recurring struggles. Have you noticed any area of your life where the same challenge keeps showing up again and again? Many people become so familiar with certain struggles that they begin to accept them as permanent. They start believing that nothing will ever change. They convince themselves that disappointment is normal, delay is unavoidable, and limitation is simply part of their destiny. But God never intended for His children to live trapped by cycles that rob them of peace, purpose, and progress. Can you identify a cycle that you are ready to break free from today? Sometimes limitations appear in the form of fear. Fear keeps people from pursuing opportunities. Fear prevents people from taking steps of faith. Fear convinces people to remain in places where they are no longer growing. Yet God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Fear may speak loudly, but it does not have the final word over your life. Have there been opportunities you avoided because fear tried to convince you that you were not ready? Other limitations come through negative thinking. A person can be physically free while remaining mentally imprisoned. When someone constantly tells themselves that they are not capable, not qualified, or not worthy, those thoughts become barriers that restrict their potential. The battlefield often begins in the mind long before it appears anywhere else. What thoughts have been challenging your confidence recently? You must understand that every limitation is not necessarily external. Sometimes the greatest obstacles are the beliefs we have accepted about ourselves. If you constantly focus on what you cannot do, you will overlook what God has empowered you to accomplish. If you focus only on closed doors, you may miss the opportunities already opening around you. Have you been paying more attention to obstacles than to possibilities? This Monday morning is an opportunity to reject every mindset that has kept you small. You are not called to think like a victim when God has equipped you to walk as a victor. You are not called to shrink back when God is calling you forward. You are not called to live beneath your potential when heaven has placed purpose inside of you. Can you imagine how your life would change if you fully embraced what God says about you? There are also limitations created by past disappointments. When people experience repeated setbacks, they sometimes stop expecting good things altogether. They protect themselves from future pain by lowering their expectations. But faith requires you to remain open to God's possibilities, even after difficult seasons. Have past disappointments made it harder for you to believe for greater things? Just because something did not happen in the previous season does not mean it cannot happen in this season. Just because a door closed before does not mean every door will remain closed. Just because an opportunity was delayed does not mean it was denied. God's timing is often different from our expectations, but His plans remain good. Is there a promise or dream you have been tempted to give up on? Negative cycles can also show up in relationships, finances, habits, and spiritual growth. They often begin subtly. What starts as a small compromise can become a recurring pattern. What starts as occasional doubt can become a mindset. This is why awareness is important. You cannot break what you refuse to confront. What recurring pattern has God been bringing to your attention lately? Breaking cycles requires intentional action. It requires renewing your mind, strengthening your faith, and aligning your decisions with God's principles. Change does not happen accidentally. Transformation happens when you consistently choose a different path. Every small decision matters. Every act of faith matters. Every step of obedience matters. What is one positive change you can begin making this week? Remember that God's power is greater than every limitation. No stronghold is stronger than His authority. No obstacle is greater than His wisdom. No challenge is beyond His ability to overcome. The same God who parted seas, opened prison doors, and transformed impossible situations is still working in the lives of His people today. Do you believe God is able to break through the barriers that have been standing in your way? As you move through this Monday, refuse to agree with every negative voice that speaks against your future. Refuse to allow discouragement to define your expectations. Refuse to let old cycles determine what this new week will become. Lift your eyes higher. Strengthen your faith. Expect progress where there has been stagnation. Expect freedom where there has been restriction. Expect movement where there has been delay. What breakthrough are you believing God to release into your life during this new week? Every day presents a new opportunity to choose faith over fear, courage over hesitation, and progress over limitation. You are not powerless against the challenges you face. Through God's strength, you can move beyond every barrier that has attempted to stop your growth, hinder your purpose, and restrict your future. What area of your life are you trusting God to transform first as you step into this week? Beloved, one of the greatest things you can do as you begin this Monday morning is position yourself to receive the favor of God. Favor is more than luck, chance, or coincidence. Favor is God's divine influence operating in your life, opening doors that no human effort alone could open. It is God making a way where there appears to be no way and creating opportunities that exceed your expectations. Have you ever experienced a moment when something worked out far better than you expected? Many people spend their lives depending only on their own abilities, their own connections, and their own resources. While hard work and diligence are important, there are moments when success requires something greater than human effort. There are situations where only God's hand can bring the breakthrough you need. There are opportunities that cannot be earned through striving alone, but are released through divine favor. Can you think of an area in your life where you need God's favor right now? When the favor of God rests upon your life, doors begin to open in unexpected ways. Conversations lead to opportunities. Delays turn into progress. Obstacles become stepping stones. What once seemed impossible suddenly becomes achievable. God's favor has a way of positioning you in the right place at the right time with the right people. Have you been praying for a specific door to open in your life? Sometimes we become so focused on closed doors that we fail to recognize the new opportunities God is presenting before us. Not every closed door is a rejection. Sometimes it is God's protection. Sometimes it is His redirection. Sometimes He closes one path because He has prepared something greater ahead. Has there ever been a situation that disappointed you at first, but later turned out to be a blessing? This Monday morning, I encourage you to trust God's wisdom even when you do not fully understand His process. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what is ahead. He understands how every detail connects to His purpose for your life. What appears to be a setback may actually be setting the stage for a greater opportunity. Are you willing to trust God's direction even when the path is not completely clear? God's favor often operates beyond our expectations. Sometimes we pray for one opportunity while God is preparing something even greater. We ask for one solution while He is arranging multiple blessings. We focus on one possibility while He is creating pathways we have not yet imagined. Have you limited what you believe God can do because of your current circumstances? You must learn to expect divine opportunities. Expectation is a powerful expression of faith. When you wake up each morning believing that God is working on your behalf, you begin to approach life differently. you become more attentive. You become more hopeful. You become more aware of the possibilities surrounding you. What opportunities might you recognize today if you approach this day with greater expectation? There are people who will enter this week assuming that nothing will change. They will carry the same mindset, speak the same negative words, and expect the same disappointing results. But faith calls you to expect more. Faith invites you to believe that God is able to create opportunities where none currently exist. What good thing are you expecting God to do for you this week? Favor does not mean you will never face challenges. It means that God's presence will accompany you through every challenge. It means that even when obstacles arise, they do not have the power to stop God's purpose. It means that what was intended to hinder you can ultimately become part of your testimony. Have you seen God turn a difficult situation into something beneficial before? One of the keys to recognizing divine opportunities is maintaining a grateful heart. Gratitude keeps your focus on God's faithfulness instead of life's frustrations. When you become thankful for what God has already done, you strengthen your ability to trust Him for what He is about to do. What is one blessing in your life that you are grateful for today? Sometimes opportunities arrive in unexpected forms. They may come through a conversation, a new relationship, a challenge that stretches your faith, or an assignment that pushes you beyond your comfort zone. Not every opportunity looks impressive at first glance. Some of the greatest breakthroughs begin as small acts of obedience. Have you ever received a blessing from a source you never expected? As you move through this Monday, be mindful of the doors God may be opening around you. Pay attention to the ideas He places in your heart. Pay attention to the people He brings into your path. Pay attention to the moments where peace, wisdom, and direction become clear. God often guides His people step by step, rather than revealing the entire journey at once. Are you paying attention to the opportunities God may already be placing in front of you? Do not allow fear to keep you from walking through the doors God opens. Many opportunities are missed not because they were unavailable, but because people doubted themselves. They questioned their qualifications. They focused on their weaknesses instead of God's strength. Yet when God opens a door, He also provides the grace needed to walk through it. Is there an opportunity you have been hesitant to pursue because you feel unprepared? This week carries possibilities that you cannot yet see. There are answers being arranged, connections being established, and blessings moving into position. God's favor is able to accomplish in a moment what human effort might struggle to achieve over many years. His wisdom is directing your steps. His hand is working behind the scenes. His purpose for your life continues to unfold, creating opportunities for growth, advancement, influence, and breakthrough. What area of your life are you believing God to touch with His favor and divine opportunities this week? Beloved, as you begin this Monday morning, it is important to remember that God is deeply concerned about every area of your life. He is concerned about your family, your health, your finances, your future, and your peace of mind. Nothing that affects you is insignificant to Him. The God who watches over nations also watches over your household, and His desire is to surround you with His protection and care. Can you take a moment and think about one area of your life where you need God's protection today? Many people start the week carrying hidden concerns. Some are worried about their children. Others are concerned about their marriage, their health, their job, or financial responsibilities. While these concerns may be real, they do not have to control your thoughts. God never intended for you to live under the constant pressure of fear and uncertainty. What concern have you been carrying into this new week? One of the greatest gifts God gives His people is the assurance of His presence. When you know that God is with you, fear begins to lose its power. Challenges may still arise, but you no longer face them alone. Difficult situations may come, but you can walk through them with confidence because the Creator of heaven and earth is walking beside you. Have you ever experienced peace in the middle of a situation that should have caused fear? God's protection is not limited by location, circumstance, or human ability. His hand can reach places where your own strength cannot. He can guard what you cannot see. He can intervene in situations before they ever become visible. He can provide wisdom that prevents unnecessary trouble and direction that leads you safely forward. Can you remember a time when God protected you from something you did not even realize at the moment? As you pray this Monday morning, think about your family. Families face many challenges in today's world. There are pressures, distractions, misunderstandings, and unexpected difficulties that can affect relationships. Yet God desires to strengthen families, restore unity, and cover loved ones with His grace. His power is able to heal wounds, restore communication, and bring peace where conflict has existed. Who in your family would you like to see God touch and bless this week? Sometimes we become so focused on our own needs that we forget to pray for those closest to us. Your prayers can become a source of encouragement, strength, and covering for the people you love. Never underestimate the impact of lifting your family before God and trusting Him to work in ways that you cannot see. Have you been intentionally praying for your loved ones lately? Your health is another area that deserves attention. God created your body with remarkable design and purpose. While challenges may arise, you can approach each day believing that God cares about your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. He understands every concern, every struggle, and every need that exists beneath the surface. How have you been taking care of your physical and emotional well-being recently? Many people spend so much time caring for others that they neglect their own health. They ignore signs of exhaustion. They overlook the importance of rest. They carry emotional burdens for so long that stress begins to affect every area of life. Yet God calls His people to live with wisdom, balance, and stewardship over the bodies and minds He has given them. Have you allowed yourself enough time to rest and recharge lately? Financial concerns can also create significant pressure. Bills, responsibilities, unexpected expenses, and future uncertainties often cause people to worry. Yet worry has never solved a financial problem. Anxiety has never created provision. What you need is wisdom, diligence, faith, and trust that God is able to provide resources, opportunities, and solutions in ways you may not expect. What financial breakthrough are you believing God for during this season? God often provides through open doors, creative ideas, strategic relationships, and opportunities that seem ordinary at first. Sometimes the answer arrives through a new perspective. Sometimes it comes through increased discipline and wise decisions. Sometimes it appears through opportunities that were unavailable just weeks before. Have you been asking God for wisdom as much as you have been asking Him for provision? One of the enemy's favorite strategies is to convince people that they are alone in their struggles. He wants you to believe that nobody understands what you are facing, but God understands every detail. He sees every tear, every concern, every silent prayer, and every hidden burden. Nothing escapes His attention. Is there something on your heart today that you have not fully surrendered to God? As you move through this Monday, choose faith over fear. Choose trust over anxiety. Choose peace over worry. Fear magnifies problems, but faith magnifies God's ability to solve them. When your focus shifts from the size of the challenge to the greatness of God, your perspective begins to change. What would happen if you spent more time focusing on God's promises than on your worries? Remember that protection is not merely about avoiding danger. It is also about preserving purpose. God protects what He intends to use. He guards what He has called. He watches over the plans and assignments He has placed upon your life. His protection extends beyond physical safety and includes guidance, wisdom, discernment, and direction. Can you see how God's guidance has protected you from making certain mistakes in the past? This Monday morning is an opportunity to place every area of your life into God's hands. Your family, your health, your finances, your relationships, your goals, and your future all benefit when they are surrendered to His care. He is faithful to lead, faithful to provide, faithful to strengthen, and faithful to watch over those who trust Him. Which area of your life are you trusting God to cover with His protection and blessing the most this week? Beloved, there are moments in life when it feels as though your prayers have been placed on hold. You have prayed, believed, waited, and trusted, yet the answer has not arrived in the way you expected. Delays can be discouraging because they often test your patience, your confidence, and even your faith. But this Monday morning, I want to remind you that a delay is not always a denial. Sometimes God is working behind the scenes in ways that you cannot yet see. Have you been waiting on God for something that seems to be taking longer than expected? Many people become frustrated during seasons of waiting because they assume that nothing is happening. They look at their circumstances and conclude that their prayers are being ignored. Yet some of God's greatest works take place in hidden places long before they become visible. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean God is not moving. Can you think of a time when God was working on your behalf, even when you could not recognize it at first? Waiting seasons often develop qualities within us that immediate answers cannot produce. Patience grows during waiting. Trust deepens during waiting. Character is strengthened during waiting. Faith becomes more mature during waiting. What feels like a delay may actually be preparing you for the blessing you have been requesting. Have you ever learned an important lesson while waiting for an answer to prayer? Sometimes we focus so intensely on the timing that we overlook the preparation. God is not only concerned about giving you the blessing, He is also concerned about preparing you to manage it wisely. The right opportunity at the wrong time can become a burden instead of a blessing. God's wisdom often protects us from receiving something before we are ready. Have you considered that God may be preparing you while He prepares the answer? There are dreams that have been delayed. There are goals that seem distant. There are prayers that have remained unanswered for months or even years. Yet God's promises are not limited by human timelines. What appears impossible from your perspective remains completely possible from His perspective. The God who created time is not controlled by time. What promise are you still believing God to fulfill in your life? It is easy to remain hopeful when everything is progressing smoothly. The real challenge comes when there is no visible evidence of change. This is where faith becomes powerful. Faith chooses to trust even when progress cannot yet be measured. Faith continues believing when circumstances suggest otherwise. Faith refuses to surrender simply because the answer has not yet arrived. How do you usually respond when an answer takes longer than you expected? One of the greatest dangers during delayed seasons is discouragement. Discouragement has a way of draining motivation and weakening expectation. It whispers that nothing will ever change. It suggests that your efforts are pointless. It encourages you to lower your expectations and settle for less than what God intended. But discouragement does not have the authority to determine your future. Have you been fighting feelings of discouragement in any area of your life recently? This Monday morning is an opportunity to renew your hope. Hope is not wishful thinking. Hope is confident expectation that God is faithful to His word. Hope allows you to look beyond present circumstances and see future possibilities. It enables you to keep moving forward even when the destination is not yet visible. What gives you hope when situations seem uncertain? Breakthroughs often arrive when people least expect them. A phone call can change everything. One conversation can open a door. One opportunity can shift the direction of an entire season. One moment of divine favor can accomplish what years of striving could not accomplish. God has a way of accelerating what seemed delayed. Have you ever experienced a sudden breakthrough after a long period of waiting? Many of the greatest testimonies begin with stories of perseverance. People who refused to quit eventually witnessed the fulfillment of what they had been believing for. They continued praying. They continued trusting. They continued moving forward despite obstacles. Their persistence positioned them to recognize the breakthrough when it arrived. Is there an area where God is calling you to remain faithful instead of giving up? Sometimes delayed blessings require us to release control. We want answers immediately because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. We want complete understanding before taking the next step. Yet God often asks us to trust Him one day at a time. He invites us to walk by faith rather than by sight. Do you find it difficult to trust God when you cannot see the full picture? As you move through this Monday, remember that every day brings new possibilities. Circumstances can change. Opportunities can appear. Doors can open. Relationships can be restored. Solutions can emerge. What seems stagnant today does not have to remain stagnant tomorrow. God specializes in creating movement where there has been delay in hope, where there has been disappointment. What area of your life feels stuck right now but needs God's intervention? Do not allow past disappointments to define your expectations for the future. Yesterday's outcome does not determine tomorrow's possibilities. The setbacks you experienced before do not have the power to cancel God's purpose. Every new day presents another opportunity for God to demonstrate His faithfulness and power. Have previous disappointments made it harder for you to expect good things? There is strength in continuing to believe. There is power in maintaining expectation. There is wisdom in refusing to quit simply because progress seems slow. Every prayer matters. Every act of faith matters. Every step forward matters. Even when you cannot see immediate results, your trust in God is producing something valuable beneath the surface. What blessing, breakthrough, or answered prayer are you believing God to release into your life during this new week? Beloved, one of the most important decisions you can make as you begin this Monday morning is to align your mind, your words, and your actions with God's purpose for your life. Many people desire success, breakthrough, and progress, but few recognize how powerful their daily thoughts, conversations, and choices truly are. Your direction in life is often shaped by what you consistently think, what you continually speak, and how you choose to act every day. Have you ever stopped to consider how your thoughts influence the course of your day? Everything begins in the mind. Before a person achieves something great, they first develop the mindset necessary to pursue it. Before someone experiences positive change, they must first believe that change is possible. The mind is a powerful gateway because it influences decisions, attitudes, and expectations. What you repeatedly think about eventually affects how you live. What thoughts have been occupying your mind most often lately? Many people struggle not because they lack ability, but because they have accepted limiting beliefs. They have convinced themselves that they are incapable, unqualified, or destined to remain where they are. These thoughts become invisible barriers that restrict growth and prevent progress. Yet God's view of you is far greater than the limitations you may have accepted. Have there been moments when self-doubt tried to convince you that you were not enough? When your thinking aligns with God's promises, your perspective begins to change. Instead of focusing on obstacles, you begin to see opportunities. Instead of dwelling on setbacks, you begin looking for lessons. Instead of expecting failure, you begin anticipating growth. A renewed mind creates space for renewed possibilities. How would your life look different if you viewed every challenge through the lens of faith? Your words are equally important. Words carry influence because they often reveal what is happening within the heart. What you speak repeatedly can strengthen faith or reinforce fear. Negative words can drain hope, while encouraging words can inspire confidence and determination. This is why it is important to become intentional about the language you use. What kind of words have you been speaking over your life recently? Sometimes people unknowingly speak defeat over themselves. They say things like, "I will never succeed," nothing ever changes, or things always go wrong for me. Over time, these statements shape expectations and influence behavior. When negative words become habits, they begin to affect how opportunities are perceived and pursued. Have you noticed any negative phrases that you repeat without realizing their impact? Imagine beginning each day by speaking words of faith, gratitude, and expectation. Imagine choosing language that reflects possibility rather than limitation. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to allow negative circumstances to become the final authority over your mindset. Faith-filled words create an atmosphere of hope and confidence. What positive declaration could you begin speaking over your life this week? Alignment also requires action. Thoughts and words are powerful, but they must be supported by intentional choices. Success rarely happens by accident. Growth requires effort. Progress requires consistency. Purpose requires participation. God often provides opportunities, but it is our responsibility to take the steps necessary to walk through the doors He opens. Is there a step of faith you know you should take but have been postponing? Many people pray for change while continuing the same habits that produced previous results. They desire different outcomes but resist making different choices. Transformation occurs when belief is combined with action. Small daily decisions have the power to create significant long-term results. Every positive choice moves you closer to the future you desire. What small change could you make today that would improve your future? Discipline is often overlooked, yet it plays a major role in fulfilling purpose. Motivation may inspire you for a moment, but discipline helps you remain committed over time. There will be days when enthusiasm is high and days when it is low. Consistency allows progress to continue regardless of emotions or circumstances. Have you found that consistency is often more valuable than occasional bursts of effort? Another important aspect of alignment is surrounding yourself with influences that strengthen your faith and vision. The voices you listen to matter. The conversations you engage in matter. The environments you spend time in matter. Everything around you is either encouraging growth or slowing it down. Wisdom helps you recognize which influences support your purpose. Who are the people in your life that inspire you to become a better version of yourself? Purpose is not fulfilled through perfection. Many people delay action because they are waiting for the perfect moment. They believe they need more resources, more confidence, or more certainty before they begin. Yet progress often starts with imperfect steps taken in faith. Waiting for perfection can become an excuse that prevents movement. Have you been waiting for the perfect conditions before taking action? As you move through this Monday, remember that every choice matters. Every thought you entertain matters. Every word you speak matters. Every action you take matters. The future is often built one decision at a time. What you repeatedly do today can shape where you stand months and years from now. What daily habit is helping you move closer to your goals right now? God has placed gifts, abilities, and potential within you for a reason. Your responsibility is to steward those gifts wisely, develop them faithfully, and use them purposefully. When your mind is aligned with faith, your words are aligned with truth, and your actions are aligned with purpose, you position yourself for growth, influence, and meaningful progress. What area of your life needs greater alignment between what you believe, what you say, and what you do? Beloved, as you step into this Monday morning, I want you to begin this week with a mindset of victory. Too often, people enter a new week expecting the same struggles, the same frustrations, and the same limitations they faced before. They anticipate obstacles before opportunities. They expect disappointment before breakthrough. But today, I encourage you to lift your expectations and believe that God is able to bring victory, acceleration, and supernatural turnarounds into every area of your life. What are you believing God to turn around for you this week? Victory begins long before circumstances change. It starts in the heart and mind of a person who chooses to trust God despite what they currently see. A victorious mindset does not deny challenges. It simply refuses to allow challenges to become greater than God's promises. When you focus on God's faithfulness, you gain the strength to move forward, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Have you been focusing more on your problems or on God's ability to solve them? There are seasons when progress feels slow. You may feel as though you are working hard without seeing immediate results. You may wonder if your efforts are making any difference. Yet God often works in stages. What appears to be a delay may actually be preparation. What seems like a slow season may be building the foundation for rapid acceleration. Have you ever experienced a breakthrough that came after a long season of waiting? Acceleration is one of the ways God demonstrates His power. He can accomplish in a short period of time what seemed impossible for years. He can restore lost opportunities. He can reconnect what appeared broken. He can open doors that have remained closed for a long time. His ability is not limited by how long you have been waiting. Is there an area of your life where you need God to bring acceleration? Many people become discouraged because they compare their journey with the journey of others. They look at someone else's success and wonder why their own progress seems slower. But God's plan for your life is unique. His timing for your life is unique. Comparison often distracts you from recognizing the blessings and opportunities that are already present in your own journey. Have you ever found yourself comparing your progress to someone else's? One of the keys to experiencing victory is remaining faithful during every season. Faithfulness may not always seem exciting, but it is powerful. Consistent prayer, consistent trust, and consistent obedience create a strong foundation for future breakthroughs. The victories people celebrate are often built upon many unseen moments of perseverance. What area of your life requires greater consistency right now? Turnarounds often happen when people least expect them. A situation that appeared impossible suddenly changes direction. A relationship begins to heal. A financial opportunity appears. A long-standing problem finds a solution. God has a way of bringing transformation into circumstances that seemed beyond repair. What looked permanent can change when His power intervenes. Can you think of a situation that once seemed impossible, but eventually worked out better than expected? As you move through this week, guard your expectations carefully. Negative expectations create unnecessary limitations. If you constantly expect failure, you may hesitate to pursue opportunities. If you expect disappointment, you may struggle to recognize blessings when they appear. Faith encourages you to anticipate good things while trusting God with the outcome. What positive outcome are you expecting this week? Another important principle is learning to celebrate progress. Many people focus so much on what has not happened, yet that they overlook how far they have already come. Growth often occurs gradually. Small victories matter. Small improvements matter. Every step forward deserves recognition because each step brings you closer to your goals. When was the last time you paused to appreciate how much progress you have already made? God often uses ordinary moments to create extraordinary results. A conversation, a decision, a new habit, or a simple act of obedience can become the starting point of a significant breakthrough. This is why it is important to remain attentive. Opportunities sometimes arrive in ways that seem small at first, but carry tremendous potential. Have you been paying attention to the opportunities that may be hidden within everyday moments? Victory also requires courage. There will be times when God asks you to step beyond your comfort zone. He may call you to pursue an opportunity, start something new, or trust Him in unfamiliar territory. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward despite uncertainty because you believe God is leading you. Is there a step of faith that you know God has been prompting you to take? Remember that setbacks do not have the authority to define your future. Every successful person has faced challenges. Every great testimony includes moments of difficulty. The difference is that they refused to allow temporary obstacles to become permanent conclusions. They kept moving forward, learning, growing, and trusting God along the way. Have you allowed a past setback to influence how you view your future? This Monday morning is an opportunity to raise your expectations. Believe that God can bring victory where there has been struggle. Believe that He can bring acceleration where there has been delay. Believe that He can bring restoration where there has been loss. Believe that He can bring clarity where there has been confusion. The God you serve specializes in transformation, renewal, and breakthrough. What area of your life needs God's transforming power the most right now? As you continue through this week, refuse to surrender your hope. Refuse to allow fear to dictate your decisions. Refuse to let yesterday's disappointments control tomorrow's possibilities. Keep your eyes on God's promises. Keep your heart open to His guidance. Keep moving forward with confidence, expectation, and faith, believing that divine opportunities, supernatural favor, unexpected breakthroughs, and powerful turnarounds are already being positioned along your path. What testimony are you believing God will give you by the end of this week?